Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reign of Troy Radio, episode 488, coming to you on Monday, June 19th, 2023. We're going to talk about the latest in USC football, including a ton of new news on campus, new facilities, new commitments, but also it's a special episode because we've got a special guest, Chris Treviño from USCFootball.com. And we're going to talk hot takes. We're going to talk Maryland, maybe, perhaps. Maybe I'll ask him about crab cakes or something. That's a Maryland thing, right? Like, we'll see. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at Reign of Troy, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Reign of Troy. Our email address is reignoftroy@fanside.com. I'm your host, Mike Castillo, journalist, my co-host here in the Reign of Troy studio, Elisa Derritola.
Hello, everybody.
And our special guest from 24/7 Sports, USCFootball.com, the Peristyle podcast, the Composite 2-Star Recruits podcast, probably forgetting other things. Chris, welcome to the show.
You are not forgetting anything. That is well enough of an intro for me, but thank you so much for having me on this show and welcoming me into your little world here. I'm very excited to be making my first appearance on this show, and if I'm never invited back, that's okay, but I'm just happy to have this one.
So you said that this is a like bucket list thing.
Yes.
Well, I want my ego stroked. What?
Mm-hmm.
How is it a bucket list thing? Like what about it?
Yeah, obviously this is like a staple in the the USC Twitter content sphere. So obviously this is a well-known podcast. Obviously the CarCast is a thing of its own, and it has that lore about it. And when I was first starting out with USCFootball.com, when we merged, I remember, Keely and Ryan would come be a part of your show and on your podcast. And I was like, one day, I'll get one. I just got to get one. And it's all good from there. I'll get one. I'll get called up to the big leagues, so this is my shot,
Well, see, and we've been talking about getting you on for a while now, and it just never happened because we just we're not proactive with getting guests on the show, so that's an us problem. You've been ready for Reign of Troy, friend of the pod status for forever. You're elite on Twitter, elite in coverage, and elite on the podcast sphere as well.
Of course, in elite in tattooing with the
elite in tattooing, yes.
With the 18K tattoo, which of course
one could say you have
is iconic.
18K magic.
18K magic, yes. Thank you for all those kind words, yes. But I am truly honored to be on this show and doing it live. I hate doing live. Like, it's the bane of my existence. Like, Ryan will tell you, like, we're going live tomorrow for our show, and it's like a running joke, which is not really a joke, which I do not. But I'm genuinely very excited to be on the show and to be doing it live. And I do ask that when, like, I can see the comments for people watching. If there's any like show inside jokes or references for your podcast, I want to know about them. I love the lore of other people's, because obviously every podcast has bits and references and everything. So I want to be a part of that. I want to like understand it.
Yeah, I think those will pop up from time to time. Of course, later on the show we'll do sort of a new bit that we're starting, the Mount Rotmore, and Chris has come up with an awesome idea for that. So
terrible idea. He said awesome. He meant terrible idea.
It will be good, I promise. So we'll get to that later, and that'll be fun. And yeah, if you're just joining us here live on YouTube, pop in your comments. Be sure to like the stream. You should like your screen too. And subscribe, and you can even join us with our monthly subscription, or you get bonus episodes every month over on YouTube here for $4.99 a month with the Rot Squad. But Alicia, we got more details. We've got a sponsor. You want to take it away with our sponsor?
Oh, I get to tell everybody about our sponsor this week. This is exciting.
Yes, it's all you.
USC fans, have you signed up for DraftKings yet? If you're a new user, you can receive $150 in bonus bets instantly after following just 3 steps. Create an account, deposit, and then wager $5 or more on any sport. Whether your first wager wins or loses, you'll still receive the $150 in bonus bets. All you have to do is use the code REIGN of Troy when you sign up. The best part is Using our code Reign of Troy not only gets you the bonus, but it also supports the podcast. If you're considering signing up for DraftKings, definitely use our code Reign of Troy, all one word, Reign spelled REIGN of Troy, to maximize your bets. This offer is available for new customers who are 21 years or older and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer.
Yeah. Reign of Troy is the code over at DraftKings. And one of those legal states is Maryland. And Chris, you are a Maryland alum, and I have to confess something. When you started over at 24/7, I'm going to call it 24/7. I think the company line is 247. Is that right?
Yes. Some people have even said 247. So, it's not the
Yeah,
most crazy one I've heard. So
247 is great. Well, when you first started over there, you had in your Twitter bio or something about like MD native or MD something.
and
I'm
Pride,
like,
I think is what it was or something.
okay. So I was like, oh, he's a modern day guy.
Yeah.
And I was so convinced that you were a modern day guy. It took years for me to figure out. And I think not until you were like on the podcast all the time over at the Peapod that it was Maryland. So Maryland, of course, came into the Big Ten in what was it, 2014 or something like that.
Yeah,
Now
that sounds right.
here's SC coming into the Big Ten. As a Maryland alum, like what's that like?
It's very weird and surreal because I was graduating when Maryland was moving into the Big Ten. It was like, oh, ACC, we're gonna miss it. But it's like, oh, we need money because we were so broke. Like our athletic department had been ruined financially, so we're like, oh, we need to do this for money. And you got over it like about a year into it. It's like, all right, this is fun. New rivalries. We still get beat a lot in football, but we're getting there. But, just to see it on the other side with just USC now moving to the Big Ten. I used to joke with Keely because I would wear Maryland stuff when we would do our shows sometimes, the Family Feud back then. And she would be like, you can't wear that if they play. And I was like, Maryland and USC will never play. And then, yeah, I got, the college football gods, heard that. And they were like, all right, we'll show him. So now, there it is. USC will be playing Maryland next year in College Park in what will be like a homecoming for me, if you will, the real homecoming for me.
Yeah, College Park, which I feel like is one of those exciting place names for a college, like College Station, State College, College Park.
Yeah.
College Park,
Very
I think
creative.
I don't know if I speak for anybody else, but I just had no idea where the hell in Maryland it was. I mentioned this on the podcast last week. I had no idea it was literally closer to Capitol Hill than FedEx Field, which is insane to me. Like I had no idea it was right there. I thought it was closer to like Baltimore or Annapolis or something like that.
You
No,
would think that.
it's right there.
You would think that just because, with Kevin Plank and Under Armour money, you would think that. But no, it's actually just, right up the street. You could just drive 15 minutes in one direction and you're in DC. So yeah, it's right there. And it's going to be one of the easiest spots to get to in the Big Ten in terms of travel because you can just go into RFK or Dulles or BWI. It's going to be one of the easy ones for USC, even though it's going to be obviously one of the farther ones that we'll have to travel to.
Yeah, absolutely. Alicia, what is your preconceived thought about Maryland before we get things going here?
The only thing I have to say about Maryland is that the broad college football perception of Maryland and their uniforms, helmets, general aesthetic is 100% wrong because the Maryland flag being on the shoulder pads and the helmets and all that's beautiful, just absolute A+ uniforms that are just completely underappreciated in college football. And I think I saw somewhere that they got rid of them, that they've gone to like a throwback or something like that, and it makes me very sad.
I knew I love this podcast. I knew it. Yeah, I think we recently are going back to the script. The fans wanted the script, which is you can't go wrong with the script in college.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Terp script is pretty sweet. The motorcycle looking helmet with the flag on it though. Uh,
That's just
pretty A plus too. Anyways, we got a bunch of SC news. We got West Texas Mike in the chat flipping out that we're talking about the Terps. So let's go to the news, shall we? All right, new news at USC. The Trojans have announced a strategic vision to transform USC athletics. This includes a new USC Performance Center, a new Dado Field, new facilities. This is the thing that Lincoln Riley has been talking about since he got to SC. This has been the thing that SC fans have clamored for when it comes to recruiting. How do you keep up with the Joneses? I mean, the Sabins. And this is huge. I mean, SC obviously got the McKay Center back in 2012, and at the time that was state of the art. But like the way facilities are like software. 10 years ago is super outdated, and SC needed something else. And so here comes the strategic vision to transform athletics, which also includes the new women's soccer stadium and lacrosse field, like we talked about last week. But the new USC Football Performance Center is a 3-level building where Kennedy Field currently stands. It'll have direct access to the practice fields, including an additional 100-yard field, which means now SC will have 120 more yards than UCLA does. The key quote from the press release is the new complex will feature student-athlete-centric spaces, including a new locker room, multiple player lounges, a recovery hub, nutritional support, sports science services, a weight room, a training room, and an equipment room, to which Lincoln Riley said, "It's an absolute game changer for our program. Will be the perfect home for our team and give our players every opportunity to be successful." The new Dado Field looks legit. They'll be rotated 90 degrees, move further towards Vermont and everyone's favorite Taco Bell, and provide more room for the football facility and have a capacity of 2,500 people. Alicia, what are your first thoughts?
the renderings look pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to have a full length artificial turf field. And it looks like it's just going to make better use of that space. That all of that space over on that side of campus felt, I don't know, as somebody who doesn't do a lot of baseball or tennis or any of the other things on that side, it just felt like that was some wasted space. So this makes a whole lot of sense. And yeah, it's good for USC to get up to date with the facilities. It's weird. It's weird that the McKay Center
Is old.
is
Yeah.
old. It feels like it just came out last year, but then you say 2012 and it's like,
Well, it's weird to me, all the stuff that's happened on campus, because I graduated 10 years ago. I was there when the McKay Center was, being built and all that stuff. And then it finally opens and then I graduate. And now to think that that thing is sort of being replaced, at least as far as the football team goes. Obviously, it's not going to be torn down and all that stuff. It's just the football team headquarters will sort of be moved down the street. Chris, what are your thoughts with the unveiling of everything?
I'm just so happy because I was tired of taking questions from fans on the message boards about when new locker rooms, when new facilities were coming. And we kept telling, be patient, be patient. And then to finally have this announcement is great for them because I know they're really excited about it, all the fans out there. But it's also huge, just from a USC football perspective of getting this massive upgrade and facelift when you're in an era of arms race and money and facilities and all those kinds of things. USC had a bunch of boxes that they needed to check off. And, location has always been a good checkbox for USC. It's never going to change. Recruiting landscape, it's never going to change in Southern California for them. Coaching obviously was something that was not getting checked off with USC, but now you give that 2 check marks with Lincoln Riley and all that. And one of those big boxes that had been, wanting is facilities. And it's something you hear all the time on Twitter and on message boards. Anytime somebody posts a video from USC's locker rooms, it's the first thing that comes up is when are they getting new lockers? So this is a big step in the right direction. Obviously, that Big Ten money is going to fund a lot of that. And, obviously they needed to find the space for it with USC being such a, locked in kind of campus. So finally found the space. I think it's going to work well. And, I'm excited to see it. Obviously, USC and these kids are going to be really excited. I mean, guys now, maybe they won't be able to use it whenever it does come out, but it's still a great recruiting tool that you can show and point to, like, hey, this is the future. This is what we're building towards. Obviously Lincoln Riley and that staff were using that as their pitch last year, but now it's more concrete stuff they can point to. And this is one of those things they can point to, this multi-million-dollar facility, which is going to have, I assure you, probably all the bells and whistles. It's going to have locker rooms, heated seats, AI robots. I don't know, whatever it's going to have. It's going to be great. And yeah, it's really going to make impact for when they bring kids in there.
Yeah, the big question I think that comes out of these renderings and this plan, this vision is something that Touchdown USC just brought up in the chat. No timeline, no cost estimate. I think the cost estimate you put to the side because, like you said, Chris, the Big Ten money, donors, all that kind of stuff. That to me, that gets taken care of pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's the timeline because the Olympics are coming and the Olympics are bringing with them disruption to USC's campus, to the surrounding area. That's my big question. When can they even get this done? Can they sneak it in before the Olympics?
I,
There's no way, right?
I think it's possible they could sneak the football performance center thing first, and then deal with Dato and what now stands as Cromwell Field and deal with that after. In this respect, that the plan, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, for the Olympics is that the swimming stadium, the temporary swimming stadium, is going to be built on Dato Field's land. So in theory, you just build this new Dato Field after the Olympics. But I could imagine that idea was with Kennedy Field not touched or still there, and Kennedy Field is where the football performance center is going to be. So like maybe that can sneak in. Either way, as Touchdown USC said in the chat, it's just a vision. This brings back things to me about the Galen Center. And I remember as a kid going to SC football games, always bugging my dad to get the program. And then there would be renderings of new basketball arenas. And there was one of them that was going to be on the corner of Exposition in Vermont, right where Parkside is. And it was going to be this awesome arena, and right there across the street from the Exposition Park, and blah blah blah. And then hearing stories about how when Paul Westphal got to SC, he was shown renderings of this arena that they were going to build to leave the sports arena and all this stuff. I want to say that I think SC has proven not to sort of doubt their ability to build things, especially in the last 20 years with the Galen Center, with the McKay Center, with the literally everything that's been built. The Harry Potter Annenberg Center thing, that big monstrosity on the corner of Expo and Fig, whatever that is. Like, they've built a million things. So I trust that SC is going to build things here. The Ronald Tuner Center, of course. But at the same time, it does seem like a big recruiting ploy to just get the renderings out there, because in a way, the renderings are more important than having nothing right now in the recruiting landscape. And that's one way that you can kind of keep up with Oregon and Alabama and Georgia and all those other schools that you're going after and recruiting against, and soon to be the Big Ten schools, right? Like, does just having the renderings makes a big deal, Chris, right? Like, that goes a long way in so far as itself, right?
Right. Renderings are important because they give vision, they give a tangible thing you can look at and be like, oh, this is shiny and new. But obviously, as you pointed out, renderings will become a dirty word if this thing doesn't get built in a timely
Right.
manner, as USC fans see fit. So yeah, it's a short-term thing, the renderings, but you also need to have blueprints. You need to have somebody have a groundbreaking ceremony. You need to get those things rolling. You can't just let it linger and let it linger. I know the Olympics are obviously something that's, maybe we'll have them take pause about when to actually start, but I think you could feasibly get something going before even the Olympics, and maybe even get something done before it even gets going, because obviously, as you guys mentioned, the Olympics will disrupt a lot of things in the area and across the landscape. So you just got to get something on paper. It's like get something, and just continue the excitement that you've already created with these quote unquote renderings, which will become stale after a couple years. But just something, anything, just to keep it going a little, even if it's just a couple breadcrumbs here and there. They just want to see that move it along and not just sit there.
Yeah, you don't want to be the A's, right? You don't want to have a million renderings and then move to Vegas,
Yeah.
which SC's not going to do. At least you would hope. But speaking of the momentum that is moving forward for the Trojans, a lot of that has to do with recruiting. It was a big recruiting weekend over the weekend. SC got a couple of new commits. Well, one over the weekend, one was last week. But it was a big recruiting weekend in which they had a party on a yacht. There were pictures in which the Trojan recruits had the Big Ten patch on for the first time, which looked super cool and makes total sense. These kids that they're recruiting are not going to ever play in the Pac-12. Heck, the Pac-12 might never exist at the time that they're in college football. Who knows? But two new commits: Marcellus Williams, a four-star composite corner from St. John Bosco, pledges to the Trojans on Sunday. And then Walter Matthews, a four-star tight end out of Hiram, Georgia, committed to the Trojans on Wednesday. SC gets another tight end, Alicia. It's like endless that SC's getting all these tight ends all of a sudden.
I just love the tight ends that USC has committed right after I was on the Quack 12 podcast talking about, like, why does USC even tight end anymore? Like, what is the point? And then USC is like, well, we're going to tight end. Just look at this. We're going to keep using tight ends. And I'm not complaining. I'm just not investing in them anymore until they do something. Like the string of tight ends that I got invested in. Oh, Josh Follow is going to be the next big thing. Oh, Jude Wolf and
Blake
Ethan Ray are
Hales.
going to be the next big thing. Oh, Lake McCree is going to be the next big thing.
Bryce Dixon. Bryce Dixon.
Well,
at least
that's
with
a whole.
Bryce Dixon, we saw it.
Yes, that was
him not being used was his own fault. But
yeah.
that's another side plot.
Yeah. But it's always exciting to just add recruits. These last few recruiting weekends have been really fun to sort of keep track of. Chris would be the expert of the 2-star podcast, being all recruiting focus and such. I think if we're gonna hear anything about the guys that USC's bringing in, I want to hear it from Chris.
I love the use of tight end as a verb. We're gonna tight end better than anyone else. Yeah, I mean, as someone who bought like way too much stock of the tight end room every year on the Family Feud podcast, like it's coming up big for me. I'm starting to move a little bit on that investment. But yeah, Walter Matthews is a really good pickup, especially coming from Georgia and SEC country, and plucking him out of that region says a lot. And obviously he's also the second commitment right now out of Georgia with Cameron Fountain, who they got 2 weeks prior. So USC, moving back to that national brand again with, getting guys in Connecticut and Florida and just all over the country, they're recruiting these guys. So Walter Matthews is another, notch in the belt for Lincoln Riley of picking these guys up wherever he wants. And, Walter Matthews, 6'7", he is a large human being. And I've talked about this on the Composite 2-star recruits, but I would not be shocked if he ended up playing offensive tackle somewhere down the line. He is that kind of body type. You look at him like that's a good looking prospect that you could maybe put on the offensive line. So I wonder if Josh Henson's, licking his chops a little bit, like, I love to get my hands and work with him, put on 60 pounds of him and just make him a tackle. You hear all those stories about high end NFL draft picks, offensive linemen being tight ends in high school and having great footwork and playing basketball. Just once they got to college and they put a bunch of weight on him, that's the kind of body type Walter Matthews has. He's not Deuce Robinson in terms of his speed down the field. He's a flexed out guy that they'll make a vertical threat, but he does have blocking ability. So they'll move him around inside and out. I mean, I talked to him after he committed because he was in town for the Elite 11. He was one of the pass catchers. They flew in to catch balls from these quarterbacks. So, he wanted to commit on his way back to Southern California. I don't think he had any idea what time it was on the West Coast when he committed, because it was like a 5 a.m. commitment. But whatever, he'll get used to that when he moves out here. But it's a really good pickup just because of the message it sends. Getting kids out of the SEC country, and then obviously the momentum that USC in this 2024 class is building.
Does that momentum feel different? I'm always hesitant when I sort of think to myself like, oh, things feel different, because a lot of times I'll look back at like data or whatever and realize like, no, it wasn't like, it's not like USC wasn't recruiting out of state under Clay Helton or anything like that. But it also feels like there's real national recruiting momentum for USC that they didn't have under the previous regime. Do you think that's an illusion, or do you think that really is a reality?
No, that's definitely a reality. I know what you're kind of talking about with the Clay Helton era. Do you guys mention that? Do you guys say his name on this podcast?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. I didn't know if there's like a rule I'm breaking. But yeah, with the Clay Helton era, I know obviously during the later years when their recruiting juice had really, really dried up and everyone was negative recruiting the heck out of them with, how long is he going to be here? So really tainted the well with USC recruiting. But yeah, I mean, they would occasionally, grab somebody random out of nowhere. They could still get a 4-star guy or a high level guy, but it just doesn't feel the same. It's, you get this nice gift, but then you look around, it's like, but they're not really recruiting at that high level, outside of, Dante Williams, snagging a really good prospect and convincing him to come here. You're not getting that. But now it's like across the board. I mean, you have to think about it like USC beat out Florida head to head for Walter Matthews. I know, Florida's not the Florida it was, 10 years ago or whatever, but it's still an SEC program with SEC money and SEC facilities and stuff like that. Cameron Fountain, USC beat straight up with Tennessee, went head to head with them and won. And, Tennessee was the leader for them going into his official visit. So they did a heck of a job on that official visit, obviously selling his mom and everything. So USC is going toe to toe with these bigger SEC programs. And last year, they beat Ohio State for Tackett Curtis straight up with them. So they're beating other big programs, nationally relevant programs, which speaks to the health that USC has had under with USC recruiting under Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, and this is another sort of thing to think about too, that this is kind of the first time this 2024 class that SC has had with Lincoln Riley where he's been able to make inroads as juniors and bring everybody around. Like we can say the 2023 class was really his first real class, right? But 2024 is the first one that he's had kind of like the entire 2-year cycle with, as we go forward. And I think that's going to really start to pay dividends and start to get big wins here. And one of the things we've talked about on the pod is that recruiting over the last 10 years has really been an interesting thing to pay attention to, because in a lot of ways, it hasn't been as interesting. And not strictly because, though this could be a part of it, not strictly because SC wasn't, it's been 9 years since they had that number 1 class in 2014, right? Like, not strictly because of that, but the difference in the signing day, we go to the early signing day period now, that recruiting period before in January before signing day is no longer like ripe with rumors of like, oh my God, where's Adoree? Is Adoree going on a secret mission? I mean, a secret visit. Is where's Biggie Marshall? What hotel is Biggie Marshall at right now? Right? Like, those things have kind of gone away. The transfer portal has sort of taken away part of that. Then you have like the taking away of like Nike's The Opening was a big deal on TV for several years, and you used to like learn about so many recruits over in the summer. That is no longer on TV all the time. I feel like recruiting has sort of lost its luster in a lot of ways, and yet at the same time, here is SC sort of ramping that up. Is that perception that we've had and talked about on this pod strictly just like an us thing where we're just,
We're old.
yeah, olds, Are we getting old and paying less attention? Is this a result of SC not recruiting at a high level and therefore we're less interested? Or has this strictly been a reality where it's not as hot as it was back then because now you've got the transfer portal and you've got so many things to take care of? But on the flip side is SC is trending that recruiting interest way back up again. Is
I
this
think
is all making sense? I know I'm just
yeah,
rambling here
yeah,
a
you're
bit.
just rambling, but I got you. I'm on a podcast with Gerard Martinez. I can handle the ramble. I get it. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I think it's a little bit of column A. I think it's a little bit of column B. Not saying you guys are old. You guys might even be younger than me. So let's not call anyone old on
No,
this
we're old.
podcast.
Yeah, we're old.
But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying because I grew up with that too, obviously, and everyone in this chat I can assume was there too with like February National Signing Day, like the drama of a February signing day. There's like nothing like it.
Yeah,
The
you
closest
take
we've
off
ever
of work and the whole deal.
yeah, yeah, no work. You start ESPN at like 5 in the morning. Well, if you're on the West Coast or whatever, but you get it. It's all day. You're going to different high schools. You're hearing the scoop and the drama. You're on the board all day. You see it all. And the closest thing we've gotten to that is like when Cormani McClain, the 5-star cornerback, like ditched his visit to go to secret visit to Colorado. Like that's the closest we've ever gotten to anything like that. I feel like, and 10 things like that was happening leading up to February and on February. So yeah,
Right.
you missed that. You want to figure out how to recapture that, but kind of the early signing period is kind of like killed that, which I understand. We talk about maybe they should do an early signing period in the summer just to like, because there's so much going on in
Yeah.
December with these coaches, with the transfer portal also opening up, and then like preparing for bowl games, and
Mhm.
then coaches like leaving for new jobs or getting fired. There's like so much going on. So like the NCAA has to tweak that at some point. But yeah, I see what you're saying, but also like I think USC also was just really bad at recruiting. So even
Yeah.
this new era, it's like it wasn't exciting to be a USC fan and like recruiting. But like tell me that Monday or that 72-hour window where USC got like 6 commits, tell me that didn't feel like National Signing Day. Just like
Oh, yeah.
become
Like,
a yeah,
I
yeah.
think things are turning around absolutely, which is exciting again because it's it's way more interesting to pay attention now than it was, even just a few months ago, and certainly than a year ago or 2 years ago. Um, and all the stuff, all the pictures that came out this weekend of like the kids on the yacht and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I think we saw some of that during the Helton stuff. We'd see pictures at the breakfast down on the Strand and all that, but it just feels a lot different. And I don't want it to just strictly be the Lincoln Riley effect, but it is, right? Like it is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, but it's also, part of the new strategy with these coaches is you gotta bring everyone in during the summer. Like the summer's where you make your money with these recruitments, and you want to get as many kids in the class as you can going into your season because you don't want to focus on
Mhm.
recruiting while you have the season. So that's kind of a shift with the early signing period and the transfer portal, obviously, because you need to be ready to sign everyone in December because if they're not signing with you, they're signing somewhere else. Not a lot of kids are waiting until February, so you got to be in position to lock up your class in December, which is taking away a lot of that excitement that we love so much in February, but that's just the way it is now. And with NIL,
Right.
you gotta lock your kids down early, get their class full, get it to like 18, 20 kids, and then you can kind of pick and choose where you fill the rest of your holes for that class. If you're trying to go to 25 or 26 or whatever, not now that you don't have limits, how much you can take in a class. But that's just kind of the new way these coaches like to build their class. And you see it with the top programs. They're gonna have, you know, 20, 22 kids by the end of summer going to their season. So USC is trying to make that move and get on there. They're at 11 right now. So, I think they're going to try to be around 18 by the end of the summer, 20, at this pace, maybe 20. So, yeah, I mean, that's just the move now.
Yeah, it really does remind me of that 2013 class, which was the summer of 2012. I remember that literally every day SC was getting a new recruit. And at one point, they were all 4 and 5 stars.
I can see it
And
in your eyes. You think fondly of that summer.
oh yeah, the summer of 2012. Yeah, when lot of different SC hype at that time, which SC did not live up to. But like, you go back to who was the coach? It was Lane Kiffin, right? And I think Lane Kiffin gets recruiting, and Lincoln Riley gets recruited, and I think you see a lot of the same ways that they sort of built their class. Very similar. You just want to, you want to make those inroads in the summer and dominate that time rather than getting on the back foot and being behind everything. And that's a really good way of looking at it. Going back to the new commitments, one other guy that we didn't talk about much is Marcellus Williams, the big one. The second highest rated commit for the Trojans in this class, according to the 24/7 Composites. Rated 73rd nationally, the 8th ranked recruit in the state, 5'11", buck 85 out of St. John Bosco. Another DB. SC has sort of like been forever of late picking up those DBs out of the pipelines, the big pipelines here in SoCal. What do you got about Williams?
Dante Williams revenge tour, getting him and Dakota Fields, two of the top 3 cornerbacks in Southern California. You don't have to go far for quarterbacks, skill players, and cornerbacks out here in Southern California. So Dante flexing his local muscles and pulling 2 really big guys on their board, especially with Dakota from Oregon, and then Marcellus, was taking a look at Oklahoma, UCLA. Ohio State was obviously involved really early in this process, but yeah. And the youngest brother of Max Williams, the redshirt senior safety out of USC, and Max is a really, really good player. But he said himself on Twitter that he is the best. Marcellus is the best. Max is the best Williams brother. Excuse me. I'm all tied up with these Williams and Maxes, but yeah. He's not the biggest cornerback, obviously, plays at St. John Bosco, but he's been productive in a very, very tough high school league, the Trinity League. So he's battle tested. He is their number 1 cornerback. They won a national championship last year with that defense. And so he has been tested. He has gone against some of the best receivers in Southern California. He's not the biggest guy, like I said, 5'11", but he's athletic. He's sticky. He will stick to you. And it's a good pickup for USC just because they need cornerbacks and they need to lock down local guys. And St. John Bosco has been a trouble spot for them. UCLA is rated there. Ohio State has rated there as well. So getting a guy of that caliber out of that program is good for them. And the big thing with Bosco is, they were like, are they going to get developed at USC? Obviously, that's a big thing with a lot of the teams. Negative recruiting at USC is like, we never saw any development out of USC. And now, obviously, Lincoln Riley, they can point to, we can develop some guys. So this is another step to, building that trust at St. John Bosco and their high school, and getting him, when they're still recruiting guys like Peyton Woodyard and Kingston Biliamaasa, their top linebacker prospects. So just helps having a guy in that locker room who can whisper, hey, come be a Trojan, come be a Trojan. So this is a big pickup for them. And, I don't think they're done with cornerbacks, maybe one more, but from a local standpoint, this is a huge one.
Yeah, and Alicia, it's yet another M.A. Williams. Obviously, the younger brother of Max, but Mario Williams, too. There's a million M.A. Williamses, but he'll get to SC in 2024, so he might not play at the same time as those other M.A. Williamses. So you might not get confused like I do.
No, we'll just have to keep straight who the new M.A. Williams is on the roster after the old ones leave, and then
this is why it's good there's no names in the back, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard enough to keep track of numbers at times. So Marcellus Williams going to come in, and what number is he going to wear? And then there's just a million different things. It's still better when it was Jaden Williams and Jaden Daniels and Jaden. There were like 3 different spellings of the Jadens, and yeah. Although Marcellus
Nico Fala and Fala Nico.
Yeah, it just names all over the place. But that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you're joining us here in the chat on YouTube, be sure to toss in any questions. We've gotten a bunch. We've been starring them, and we'll get back to those when we get to the mailbag here towards the later part of the show. But we are thrilled to have Chris on because one of the, we talked earlier, this was Chris said that this was a bucket list item to be on the show, and he wanted to come on and talk bad takes. Why I don't know, because we all know that I have good takes, but he wanted to rank my bad takes. What is your lead into this segment here? Talking about ranking my bad takes. What do you got against my takes, man?
Yeah, from your perspective, elite takes. From my perspective, bad takes. But it's just incredible because obviously we follow each other on Twitter, and it just seemed like every time I would see like your name in my feed, it just felt like it was just always a food take that I just shook my head and be like, oh, it's like 50 in a row now. I just like, you haven't broken the streak like once. And we've gone back and forth about, certain ones on social media. So I just decided this is a game that people play on TikTok, where they like give you 10 movies and then you have to
Yeah.
like rank them best to worst, but you can't move them out of the slot once you put them in. So you never know what's going to happen. So I just thought it'd be a fun exercise to do this with you and your takes. I don't expect them all to be food takes.
Yeah, they're not all food takes.
Okay,
I've
okay.
written a bunch down.
Yeah, and I have my pen and paper right here because I need to keep track for my own doing, and I love a good bit. So yeah, this is why
right.
I pitched this.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So Alicia, you know most of these.
We're missing a TikTok filter or something with like something streaming over the top of Chris's head.
All right, so we'll start with one that we've talked about in the podcast recently. Food is best warm.
Food is best warm. That's not a backbreaker for me. That's not like, oh my god. Food is best warm. Would that be like the most mild take on this? I don't disagree with that. Ice cream obviously elite, not great warm.
We're gonna pretend it doesn't talk about like hot food is best warm. Is that
hot
better?
Food, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's egregious.
So it doesn't apply to ice cream.
Okay. I'm gonna put that at 9.
Okay. So 9 means like the scale is 1
Yeah,
is
1
worst.
is like the most
Okay.
Egregious.
Throw it away, get it out of here. You should have your podcast mic removed and never be allowed to podcast again. That's 1. 9 is like 9 and 10, obviously the most tame. Like I'm not gonna fight you on this. It's like, okay, you could talk me into it.
All right, here's the next one. TV is best consumed while wearing headphones.
Oh god.
I don't know what that oh god was about.
Headphones?
The reason I have this take is I watch a lot of TV with headphones on.
Like on your laptop, like you're watching on the couch?
No, so like
this is the beauty of Roku, by the way.
We have a Roku that has a plug-in spot for headphones on the remote, and like all the time, I'll be playing video games on one TV, watching Roku on the other TV, with the headphones on while I'm watching Succession. It's great. It's like the audio. You don't have to worry about the audio balance. You don't have to worry about this being too loud at this point and this being too soft at the other. It's great.
Yeah, I see your point. It's just like, what do you want? What do you guys do if you want to watch the show together? Like
We'd
have to get 2 headphones and a splitter.
She just watches in a different room with her own headphones.
I'm just not taking into consideration.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like a very like selfish take. It's like, this is my me time kind of deal.
That's fair.
Now the thing you have to understand about us though is that we're both video game people.
Sure.
So like behind me is the PlayStation and the TV that I play my video games on, and then in the other room is where he tends to play his video games. And so there's a lot of times where we are separately playing video games and not watching something together. So like there are regular opportunities for there to be
There's also different sleep
solo
cycles.
watching.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you've talked me into the logic of it. I just don't know if I would be one of these people, but I'm gonna put it at 7.
Okay. All right.
TV best
Let's
with headphones. Okay.
Let's ramp things up here.
Oh no.
A banana with spots on it should never be eaten.
Do you mean like by itself? you just like are not used for anything. You mean just like thrown away?
It can only be used for banana pudding. I mean, but not
Banana
banana pudding. Banana bread. You can save it for banana bread, and that's fine.
Okay.
But the second it has a spot on it, it's done. And
one spot.
Yeah, one spot.
You're not talking about like bruised to heck. You're just talking about like one brown spot.
One brown spot. It's done. It needs to be solid yellow with green tips.
Oh my god, this is terrible. You know that means it's like ripened, right? That's when the sugar is at its peak, right?
Yeah, but then it's soft, and then it gets a weird aftertaste.
It's it's not 1 or 2 territory, but I feel like I'm gonna put that at
There
4.
will be worse ones.
Yeah,
Chris,
I'm
don't
gonna put that
worry.
at 4, just because you just said one spot, just like one spot, it's like ruined. Yeah, I just have to put this
one
at
spot.
yeah, I put it at 4, even though I really just move on.
All right, this one I expect to get a lot of heat about. Golden doodles are a bad dog.
A golden doodle. First, I thought you were talking about food. I was like, I'm very confused. But a golden doodle, I know what a golden doodle. There's a couple in my neighborhood. They're very spunky. They're very in your face. I don't know anyone personally
Ugly
that has
also.
You say ugly?
Yeah.
You think golden doodles are ugly?
Yeah, any poodle. Not for me.
It's such a fun name
Jake,
to say, though.
Please don't. This doesn't apply to your dogs, Jake.
The only valid reason to talk crap about doodles is that they're a designer breed that are contributing to population issues among dogs, and there's health concerns that go into any dog breed that's being bred for profit, essentially. So like, I'll give you that. Yeah. But they're all good dogs, Michael.
Taking on big breed. I love it. Yeah, I can't say like I've been like personally offended by any golden doodles, so I'm just gonna keep it at a 6 right now.
Okay.
I can't say I've been personally offended by any golden doodles. Is my favorite sentence that's been ever uttered by a guest on this show.
I'm gonna add some heat here. The Office is overrated.
All right.
Okay, The Office is perfectly fine. It's completely overrated by people who think that it's like this revolutionary, amazing
I'm
show.
one of those people. So this might be number 1 for me, but also, how dare you is my second point. Oh my goodness. Is there gonna be something? This feels like you personally crafted this one for me. This feels like
I did not.
Have you watched the show?
Yeah, the show is all right. Like it's funny. It's all right. The earlier seasons.
He has never sat down from pilot to
with his headphones on.
Even he's never watched a full season, I would wager.
Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't trust his opinion on this.
I've watched plenty of episodes. It's perfectly fine. It's like Ted Lasso. It's perfectly fine in most ways. It's not like worth making your personality. That's my thing.
I feel very attacked right now. This
is not an attack.
I'm going to. This feels like it could be my 1, but I'm gonna put it at 2 just because I think there's one more gut punch coming. So I'm gonna put it at 2, even though I really want to put it at 1, but I could be making a mistake. But it's like 1B. It's like 1B for me, but it's at the 2 spot. It's at my 2 spot.
Okay. Next one. Any of the stuffed Oreo varietals? Horrendous. Terrible. The worst part of the Oreo is the cream. The best part of the Oreo is the cookie. And so anything that is like extra stuffed, triple stuffed, double stuffed, whatever, bad. The best Oreo is just the regular Oreo. I'll even take the thins over the double.
No, the thins are elite. I'm actually kind of with you on this. Like the cream is just whatever. The cookie is the real.
Yes.
Like
the cookie is what we think of as an Oreo.
But I hate Oreos now because my girlfriend hates the middle, so she makes me scrape the middle off for her, so she can just have the cookie. So she would agree with this. And also, I kind of agree with it because I don't care about the double stuff or the triple stuff, whatever. I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go with the 10 spot here. So my
Okay.
10 spot
If
is
they made just flats, like just Oreo discs, that would
that's
be
essentially the
just
thins. That's the
cookies.
closest thing we'll get is the thins.
Yeah, like I think those would be good because like you go to an ice cream place that has the ice cream bit where you can put the toppings on.
Yeah,
Usually,
Cold
they're
Stone.
crushed up Oreos, but a lot of times it's just like the cookie bits.
Yeah, because the cream gets in the way. It
Exactly.
throws off the flavor. Yeah. Am I
Yeah.
correct? We have 4 more.
Yes, I have
Okay.
4 more. Okay.
Feel good. I feel like we're in a good spot outside of the office right now, so we'll see.
The next one is the best condiment
Oh no.
is mayo.
The best.
The best condiment is mayo. Yeah.
The best condiment is mayo.
See,
Yes.
this take is interesting to me because it's really narrow on what the truth of the full picture of the take is, because in reality, to Michael, there are only 2 condiments.
Well,
Only
there's
two
technically there's 3.
It's
There's
mayo and ketchup.
mayo, there's ketchup, and there's nacho cheese.
Okay, and the rest of them, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but you might use the word trash to describe
Yes,
all of the
anything
rest of
besides
them.
those 3 condiments are trash. I agree.
And
So
there you have the
okay,
full
if you want to
picture.
make this
Huh.
mayo,
It's
ketchup,
like
and nacho cheese are the only condiments worth eating, we can call that a take.
it's like I
That's a
listened to someone make a really great point, and then I realized, oh, they're insane. So I don't know how I feel about once I have the full context as you have provided. I like mayonnaise. I do like mayonnaise. I don't know if it's the best, but I think it's up there. But you're just like you live in a world where there's only 3 condiments, so
Yeah.
just based off that, I feel like I have to put it at the 8 spot.
Okay. See, that's not bad. That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not egregious. I only have my
Where would it be
1, 3, and 5.
naturally if you didn't have to if the spots weren't prematurely chosen here?
Yeah, I still think it's in the bottom half. Maybe 7. You could talk me into 9 though, but 8 feels right for right now.
All
I
right.
only got 3
Here's
top 5
here's one
spots
that
left.
will
Oh, great.
this will turn the chat against me.
Okay.
I love the Stanford Band. I think the Stanford Band is great.
Famously, the Stanford Band is not great though, right?
Yeah.
That's like the thing. You love the lore of the Stanford Band. You love
And the sound, everything. Yeah.
you love the ideal of a
Love
Stanford
all of
Band.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the story of the Stanford Band. I mean, would I go listen to them play at an opera house? Probably not.
I have a Stanford Band CD.
Oh, okay. So it goes a little deeper than what we're talking about. Yeah, that's not like. I mean, if you like the Stanford Band, you like the Stanford Band, man. I'm gonna put that at 5
Okay.
as the chat turns on you. So I got 1 and 3 left. So
All right. Last one. Wait, 2 more. 2 more. No bones, no gristle, no exoskeletons belong on a plate. None of it.
no bones.
No bones, gristle, or
no
exoskeletons.
exoskeletons.
None of it. So
Bones, no gristle.
get your bone in wings out of here. Terrible. I don't want to like be tearing apart a lobster or a crab and like taking the meat out like
I'm already
I'm some
you've
primal
targeted me
like
against this.
like savage.
I'm
Not
chewing
me.
on the
Nope.
gristle of this take, and I mean, as a Maryland native, and just the fact that I grew up crunching down, breaking crabs is like a part of me. So like I
They're
cannot.
like giant insects.
Sure, it's a social thing. You know, it's like you're at a table with beer and you're chilling. You're not gonna get full off crabs. That's not the point, though. The point is it's just a social thing that brings you together. But like a T-bone
Give me a
steak,
crab patty.
a T-bone steak, wings. Like I don't understand all these things. Bone marrow.
Boneless wings, infinitely better.
I
Boneless wings
Absolutely
are
not.
just nuggets, people say. And yeah, what's wrong with nuggets? Also, give me a lobster tail that has no
exoskeleton.
exoskeleton.
Yeah,
Yes, take that parts all those things off of it. Yeah.
I'm just
And of course when it comes to steak, filet mignon. It never gets better than filet mignon.
I'm just putting bones number one. I don't know if you can just say it. Bones
Bones
number
number
one.
one.
So whatever you say here is the third spot. Does not matter. I hope it's not worse than Bones or The Office.
All right. The last one is owning reptiles is immoral.
I didn't know we were making moral judgments now.
Yeah, he got
Basically, okay, reptiles are the worst pets. Here, let's just go with that. They're the worst pets. They're not cuddly. They're not cute. You also just like purposely put them in a cage in perpetuity. They can't go outside for a walk. Like,
yeah,
they're the worst
I
pet.
actually find myself agreeing with him. I once went to a I don't know what it was. I think it was like a reptile place. I don't know why I was in there, but there was like these giant tortoises in like a tiny pen, and they were just like standing there. Like that can't be fun for them. So
It can't be fun.
this is the
No.
third one. It probably should not be the third one because I kind of agree with it. It's probably closer to the 9 or 8 range, but I just have to
Okay.
put it in the reptiles at 3, so I look like a really bad person. And I agree with you.
So, well, I mean, I'm the one who said it, so I look worse. So, read us the rankings you got.
You want it from the top or from the bottom?
Either way, whatever.
Okay,
way
let's
you
go
wanna
from
do it.
the 10. The 10 spot is Oreos and their filling. You know that they the best part is the cookie, not the filling, so that's fine. Number 9 is with the first one. Food is best warm. Hot food is best warm. Yeah, I would tend to agree with this, I guess. So we kept it the 9. It's fine. Mayo is the best condiment at 8. I think it's elite. I don't know about the best, but it has to go in the 8th spot. TV is better with headphones. That's in my 7th spot. Again, maybe I just have to be shown the way. I'm not like a headphone TV person, so maybe I don't know that lifestyle, so I'm not like in there. So that's at 7. 6 golden doodles, just screw them. Yeah, that's the 6th spot. Again, never been accosted by a golden doodle, so I think they're fine, but what do I know? So that's at the 6th spot. 5 is a Stanford Band. The chat really doesn't like it, but if that's Michael's thing, that's Michael's thing. He can live with the Stanford Band. 4, banana is useless if it has one single spot. That is at the 4th spot. I actually would probably put this higher by how egregious of a statement that is. Yeah, but that's at the 4th spot. Reptiles are immoral to own and the worst pet. Yeah, that's probably my only I wish I had this lower, but it's at the 3 spot. The Office being overrated as at the 2 spot. And then bones, exoskeletons, gristle, cartilage, kneecaps, whatever. It should not be on a plate ever, which is just nonsense. I'm okay with those 1 and 2. You could talk me into switching them, but I'm also fine with them as the 1 and 2. The reptiles is probably the only one I would swap somewhere.
All right, that's fair. Alicia, how do you think of his rankings? What do you think?
I think it's an impossible task, but one that you signed up for. So
The secret part is you agree with many of them. So
that's
Oh.
okay. The funny part is
She
that
agrees.
Well,
She
I don't know.
agrees.
I married the man. He has
also
more
hates golden
egregious
doodles?
takes than the ones that he shared, and things like Oreos.
So, what did I leave off?
Actively agree with.
What did I leave off that I should have included?
You don't like gravy. You don't like mashed potatoes. You don't like
Correct.
bacon.
Correct.
You don't like sausage.
Correct.
You don't like bratwurst. You don't
Correct.
It's a lot of
there's
pork
I
products.
just you don't think things
Oh, you
should
got a
touch
question in
on
the
a
chat
plate.
about
Like he's
chorizo?
offended
Yeah,
by
don't like
Thanksgiving plates because different bits of the food touch
Yeah,
on the
food should not
plate. Like,
touch. That's correct.
he wants to eat every meal out of one of those kids' plates that have little dividers for each section
No, I'd
of
rather
the
have
plate.
everything on a separate plate.
or that. Yeah. Like,
He wants tapas. That's what he wants.
yeah, but he would never
wants-
eat tapas. He would never actually eat tapas.
He wants Korean barbecue sides. This is his ideal.
Yes.
I could eat every meal at Korean barbecue.
As we all. But you're agreeing with like banana. The banana stuff.
I am not as fervent on. I agree that the best time to eat the banana is when it's still got green on the tips, but I will continue to eat the banana well through some brown spots. There is a certain level of brown spots at which I will decline to eat a banana, but
You're yelling at golden doodles.
no, golden doodles are wonderful. Every golden doodle I've ever met has been lovely. I just have disagreements with certain breeding practices that extend far beyond golden doodles and into all designer
Which
dogs.
speaks to a larger issue at hand.
Yes, which speaks
not
to a
the
larger
individual
issue that the dogs
dog.
are not at fault for. The humans involved in those things are at fault.
Do not go after the individual, go after the system is
Thank
what she's
you.
saying.
Yes.
I agree.
That's fair. That's fair.
But that is the list. In my awful handwriting.
Perfect.
There we have it.
All right, let's get into Mount Rotmore before we get to the mailbag. We got a bunch of questions in the chat. If you want to add more questions to chat here, if you're watching us live on YouTube, you can do that as well. Mount Rotmore. It is USC Castaways. Chris has come up with the idea. We love it. What gave you the idea, Chris?
Yes. Well, USC just hosted a yacht party for their big golden hour, not golden doodle, golden hour. So I thought, what if, you were shipwrecked on an island after a big yacht party, and what players would you want to be shipwrecked with, either for fun or maybe the best chance of survival, like what your thinking is.
All right, Alicia, you go first.
I first want to state that this is a great idea that we are absolutely pigeonholing into the Rushmore idea, the Rotmore idea, which I love.
It's
by the
perfect.
way. I'm all about pigeonholing. Okay, Trojans to take on a yacht. Are we saying USC football or just USC?
Yeah, I'm saying the current team. I'm saying the current
team.
Okay.
Or you can open it up to the
No, I like it.
Okay.
I like current team. Let's see. I'd go Caleb Williams. I'd go. Ooh. Where do I go on this now?
Who are you going to say if it wasn't the current team?
Oh, I was going to go with the classics.
Because my first person down was going to be Keyshawn.
Oh, I was going to go Leinart and Bush and probably Juju and I don't know, like Pete Carroll or something like that. This isn't a desert island, so like I don't need anyone's skills. It's just like who would I be interested to like be?
Well, if we become castaways, it could be a desert island.
I mean,
it
theoretically,
could be a tropical island
too. Okay, so I'm going Caleb Williams. Justin Dietich would be fun. Max Williams would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And screw it. Let's get to know Tackett Curtis.
All right, that's a good mix. Chris, what do you got?
Okay, all of my reasons are for survival based only, and I just want everyone to know that. First off the bat, we're going Eric Gentry. I need the height to reach high places, coconuts, bananas with spots on them. All of those things would be in reach of one Eric Gentry. In picking Eric Gentry, I do realize I'm not getting a lot of body fat and body warmth to stay warm in this situation. So I need some bigger boys to help with this. So I'm going to take Mason Murphy. And you're thinking Mason Murphy, that seems like a random one. But Mason Murphy is a fierce guy. And I want somebody like that in my cave or my tree hut, whatever I'm building. So I've seen that guy on the sideline. He gets after it. So I want Mason Murphy And then I'm getting another offensive lineman with Justin Dietich because I think he would be funny in a situation like this. And he's a good leader as a team captain. And he doesn't panic because he is a center. You can't be a panic center, So he's got poise, which I love. Tackett Curtis is also one of my picks. Grew up in the Texas and Louisiana area. The guy knows how to hunt, and he's freaking Rambo, so I cannot bring him to the jungle. So Tackett Curtis is my fourth. And then my last one, kind of a wild card, kind of not. Dennis Lynch is coming along with us on this this adventure.
Use your magic.
Yeah, in case we need someone to stand on Eric Gentry's shoulders for that extra height, I'm going to pick them. I'm going to pick, those are my 5, Eric Gentry, Mason Murphy, Justin Dietich, Tackett Curtis, and 1 Dennis Lynch.
I love that. I think that all of those picks are super sound. I love the Eric Gentry pick. I thought about that. He was high on my list. But he's not on my list. Here's my list. Ready? I'm going to prioritize people who were born on islands, from islands, because that means that they probably have experience swimming, experience being on a beach, anything like that. So we're
Long
going
Island
Gino
count?
Quinones. He's from Hawaii.
Sure.
He's one of my guys. Tyrone Taleni from Samoa.
Also good.
One of my guys. There we go. You talked about Eric Gentry for height. I'm going to go to the source, Romello Height. I think that he'd be a great fit. And the last thing is when you need to get, you need to have something in common with somebody. So I got to go with Anthony Beavers Jr., famously former Narbonne recruit. So there you go. He went to Narbonne and then he went to what was it? St. Bernard. Yeah.
I thought you were making like a Beaver Wood joke.
No, but like he could make a dam if we need to, right? Like he could dam up some water for us.
Sure, yeah. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the punchline. Well, there we have it.
So there we go. I let us know in the chat who has the best group of castaways with them. Of course, Alicia, her team led by Caleb Williams. Chris is led by Eric Gentry, and mine led by the 2 island boys, Gino Quinones and Tyrone Taleni. So there we go. Let's get into the mailbag, though, shall we?
You've got mail.
All right, we got a bunch of questions on YouTube, but first we got to start with the Discord message we got from LA Fred. If you could have any item of sports memorabilia, not the actual trophy of the player reward, so you can't just say a Heisman Trophy. What would the things be on your wish list, Chris? What's on your sports memorabilia wish list?
I would say a game used like Cal Ripken jersey.
Okay.
Preferably from his historic season, maybe the one he broke the record in.
Okay. Is it 2193? Is that the number?
I think so, yeah.
Something like that.
Someone will correct us if not. Don't worry. I'm counting on them.
It's a good pull. Alicia, what do you got?
The first thing that popped in my head is real dumb, but it's the cart that Marshawn Lynch drove around.
That's a good one.
Just very randomly drunk.
It's a big faux pas that we've jumped on an SC podcast, and I've talked about the Stanford Band, and you want the cart that Marshawn Lynch drove.
Saying,
but I mean, that works.
It just seems more interesting than like, I don't know, like Leinert's jersey from the Bush Push or something like that. Like, I need some time to think about like a truly unique piece of sports memorabilia. Kiffin visor.
Whose visor?
Kiffin. Kiffin's visor. Kiffin's visor from the 2011 Stanford loss.
So I saw a TikTok where this kid bought the shorts that Neymar wore when he got hurt in the 2014 World Cup. He bought it for he's like, oh, I bought this. It's like 115 quid on eBay. And he's like pulling it all up and like showing pictures of the mud stains and comparing them to pictures to prove them. And all I could think of is like, Neymar's junk was right there, and you're holding it up right in front of your face. And like, I'm not sure I want something that's game worn because of this. Having said that, I want gloves, and I know gloves will probably be sweaty and gross, but I want gloves from a key moment. And so, give me the that Dwayne Jarrett wore when he made the 4th and 9 catch.
That's a good one. I like it.
There we go. Historical catch, literally in those gloves. That'll work for me. Let's get to the YouTube questions that we got here. Fighting on MC says, first things first. Hey Chris, your composite 2-star recruit show with Gerard is great. Yay to the Cilantro Boys.
Thank you for composite 2-star recruits. I wonder how much overlap we have between our two fan bases. I'm sure a lot, because there's a lot of cilantro in this room.
Yeah. Yeah, and cilantro, bad food, by the way.
Oh no. I'm leaving. Just do the questions without me.
I do not endorse that.
Yeah, I prefer to call it coriander, by the way. No, I'm kidding.
Coriander boys. No, it doesn't work.
Alex says, can Chris expand on SC hiring a defensive analyst?
Yes. I'm blanking on the name right now. Bryson Walter Allen, I believe that might be the name. But yeah, they hired a new defensive quality control pickup for them. Former top 100 prospect out of the 2014 class out of Georgia. Played at Southern Carolina, excuse me. Had offers from the other USC. I believe he says USC alum, which I was very confused by when I read his bio. But he comes from North Carolina, where he was a defensive graduate assistant. I'm assuming he's going to be working with Roy Manning as in the rush end room, because that's what he played in college. He's a pass rusher, so I would assume he's going to work there. And they seem to have grad assistants for a lot of positions on defense, cornerbacks, linebackers, offensive line. So I'm assuming he's going to work with Roy Manning. But yeah, he is a good pickup, good pass rusher, 27 tackles for a loss in his college career, had a cup of coffee with the Raiders, went undrafted, had a shoulder injury. But I think he's also could be important for recruiting, because he is a Georgia native and USC is trying to make further inroads in the state of Georgia. So when kids get on campus, hey, there's a Georgia native on our staff who can, relate to these guys and, just have that connection. And defensive assistants like that and graduate students or grad coaches can recruit now, and they can help, and they can DM, and they can host, and they can have guys come on campus. That you're doing that with Bookie Radley-Hiles right now. So I think it's another weapon for them to use, and more help on the field, especially for a position that needs to get it in gear in 2023 and get to the quarterback.
Yeah, it all seems smart to me, especially with Georgia being such a hotbed for recruiting. It's one of the big four now. It used to be a big three. Now it's a big four. The big four states: California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Let's go to a question from West Texas Mike. What are they going to do with the Heismans? I want that space to be better than Oregon's. I can't imagine that SC is going to move the Heismans from Heritage Hall. Heritage Hall is Heritage Hall. Like, I don't think you could move that. I mean, I guess you might want to think about it because of the football performance center, but like, how do you move the Heismans out of Heritage Hall?
It's
How do you do that?
Good question. It's
presumably with a dolly of some sort. But.
It's going to be state of the art. So maybe you do hologram. Maybe you got some hologram action going on.
Could have it in both places. You could put what you do is you put a Heisman NFT inside Heritage Hall, and then the real things.
I think they have to have some Heisman representation in that building, though. So it's going to be interesting what they do with that one, because I think you need a Heisman in that building, right?
It's almost like they have 8 of them and could split them up.
Do they bring like OJs out and put that one in one of the other buildings?
You only display one. You display Reggie's Heisman in the building. That's it.
There you go. Honestly, I mean, that one would speak the loudest, right?
Yeah.
You could even just make a replica of it until they give the real one back, right? It might be looking the other way, but it could still work.
Yeah, I think it all works.
Kenny says, "What are your Pac-12, Big 12 predictions with the San Diego State announcement?" Anybody got anything there?
And like
Alicia?
what conference? Like who's going to get them? Who's going to win the San Diego State
Just
sweepstakes?
what are your Pac-12, Big 12 predictions with the San Diego State announcement? Where
I'm going to
are
take
they going to go?
I'm going to take the over. Shout out to DraftKings. I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
I
use the
would
promo
I would say
code Red Detroit.
Pac-12. I would say Pac-12.
I don't know. I saw like a figure for the Pac-12 media deal that supposedly somebody leaked. That's like 22 million or something like that. It just seems like, well, you're not going to stay a conference if that's the number. I don't know. But yeah, probably Pac-12 for San Diego State. But I don't know how much longer the Pac-12 is going to look like the actual
I
Pac-12 that we're talking about.
I think the Pac-12 needs to either, and I know that this is easier said than done, but like you either combine with the Big 12 to become something and join and be the other super conference, and make the ACC the odd man out, which would be a big power move. Or what you do is you sort of fall into the wayside, and that's what I think that, like, adding San Diego State is just like, is that going to make Oregon and Washington want to stay? I don't think so. Like, are the Arizona schools going to be more inclined to stay because of that? No. Is Colorado going to be more inclined to stay because of San Diego State? No. Like, I get that San Diego State ideally is a big enough school with big enough money to like compete in a program bigger than they are, but they aren't there yet. Like, that's all hypothetical. So, yeah. Donnell Smith says, "What's your take on Ty Anthony Smith, Chris?"
Really good linebacker out of the state. I think he's underrated right now in our rankings, only 3-star, but USC did really, really well on his official visit. Canceled the Oklahoma visit. It's going to be tough to pull him away from Texas, but I think they're in a position to land him, which would be big for their linebacker class. I think they're trying to go multiple bodies with that, as they will be moving to the Big Ten. He is projected to play will linebacker for them. Again, going to be a really tough battle with the Longhorns, but I think they're in a really good position and put themselves in a really good position after this weekend. Family really loved the visit, especially the academics. Distance, he says, is not a factor, so we'll see. Comes from a very small town in Texas, so obviously the jump to a big city like LA could be a little bit of culture shock, but I think they're in a good position, and we'll see. Wants to make a commitment before his senior year starts, so this one will go well into December if they do get him because of those Longhorns.
Alicia, Randy says, "How much improved does the USC defense need to be to take the heat off of Grinch? Top 50? Question mark.
Yes.
I,
Which is
realistically,
I mean, is that even to
realistically,
the
I think it's
heat
probably
off
top
of
20, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like to take the heat off of Grinch, we're talking at least top 50. To
Wait,
have
hold
Grinch.
on. To take the heat off of Grinch, honestly, like, no BS, win a national championship, even with the bad defense, I think you take heat off of Grinch. Like, legitimately, because if you did that, it would, like, then I think people would stop worrying about him for now. But to take the heat off, like, in perpetuity, I think you have to have a top 25
Yeah,
defense,
I'd
right?
say top 25. Winning heals all ills, but at the same time, like, if you're winning every game 65-60, I don't know that that's sustainable either.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Yeah. People say that they wouldn't want to sign up for that, but then you totally would if that meant that you were holding the trophy at the
I'd
end.
sign up for anything that results in a national championship at the end of it. So
As long as it's legal. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
That's the key point. You agree, Chris?
Yeah, I think short of like winning a national championship, there will never not be heat on Alex Grinch unless he goes like, I don't know, 3 consecutive seasons with like a top 25 defense. And even if
Yeah.
they are top 50, like the second, like if they lose the Washington game because they gave up a last minute drive at the end. It's
Right.
all whatever they did prior does not matter because it's
They could be
all
a top 10 defense going into that game, and still that
and if the
Yeah.
happens,
yeah, that
and that's what
happens, then
people are
it's
gonna
like
remember.
it's like get rid of them. It does not matter short of like winning a national championship to turn that heat down. You could turn it down a little bit, but there'll always be heat on that Grinch. I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, here's one from Randy for you, Chris. Who do you miss more, Dan, Keeley, or Shotgun?
Are you gonna make me answer this on the air in front of all
Yes,
of them, in front of the
truthfully,
world?
and we have a producer that'll be showing up and hooking you up to the truth detector
Oh,
machine.
okay.
Lie
Oh, I
detector
hear him
machine.
now. I hear him now. Yeah. Well, I still kind of still work with Shotgun, obviously, and Keely. I still see. I don't see Dan as much, obviously, because he moved away, enjoying retirement. I would say, honestly, Keely, because without Keely, I'm not doing this show. I don't have my own show, so I owe a lot to Keely. So I would say Keely, like gun to my head. Shotgun's calling me right now. Yeah, it just like point blank, it has to be Keely for me. But it's like 1A, 1B, with Keely and Shotgun. I did a show with them. It was fun. Still miss that show, but yeah, I think it's Keely.
Yeah,
The
that is a good
correct
pick.
answer is Keely. Just always
Right.
just
When in doubt,
when in
pick
doubt,
Keely.
Keely's the answer.
Yeah.
I miss the Family Feud pod just in general. That was
Yeah.
that was my jam right there. I thought it
Yeah,
was
I can't
so
wait for the documentary to come out about it. So
30 for
we'll
30.
30 for 30.
well, I heard there's like the legal ramifications of like
Yes. Can't get her
yeah,
back
like
on.
CBS or whatever is like trying to take the
We're
name away or something.
Yeah, yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole rigmarole. Lawyers are involved. I can't really get into it, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. SJ says Old Bay seasoning stock up, stock down, or stock neutral.
Stock always up. It can't get any higher. It can't, but somehow it does. Yeah. Don't say anything, Michael. I don't want to hear anything. Just move on. Don't.
Honestly, I've never like. I'm sure I've had Old Bay seasoning. I cannot tell you what it tastes like. Like I don't know what
Okay.
it specifically tastes like.
It's
Like
salty, briny goodness.
I'll take your word for it. No, no gripe here. Um, Walker says, "Are you all pre-planning your road trips to the Big Ten schools to get to know the campus vibes of our new league in 2024?" Yeah, I think that we've talked about this. We talked about it last week. That going to the Big Ten schools is, I think, something that we just can't wait for. I've sort of driven by a couple of them, but like being able to really get in and see them on a game day is a whole sort of different experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just excited to travel new places and see new things and experience different colleges and campuses. I love going to campuses and seeing what they're all about. And there's obviously a lot that I haven't been to in the Big Ten outside of really Maryland. So have been to Penn State, Happy Valley. There's literally nothing out there, but it'll be a good time, especially when it's a million people and they're rocking in a whiteout. So yeah, excited
Yeah.
for all those experiences. Going to the big house and the shoe and the horseshoe and all that. So yeah, really looking forward to getting to see all these new places in the college football world.
So you came on the pod and you wanted to rank my takes. So I think it's only fair that we get to hear one of yours. So we'll wrap this thing up with a question from LA Fred, who says, "What is a food and drink that most people love, but you consider to be totally overrated?" Let's end with Chris. So Alicia, let's start with you, and then Chris will take us out with whatever his hot take is here.
Food and drink that people love that
People
I
love,
consider to be overrated.
you consider to be totally overrated.
I mean, my answer is like it's just in general sushi.
Oh,
I just don't like fish. I can't help it. But I also it's like I don't think it's overrated because I am very much of the perspective of like I'm not gonna yuck anybody else's yum. If you like fish, like rate it however you want. I don't like it. So
I will give you one that I've never shared on the pod here.
Are you allowed to have an answer because it's like anything and everything? Are you
All of
allowed to
them?
do this? Are you allowed to participate in this?
Yeah, meatloaf. Bad. Meatloaf is a lot of people love meatloaf. It's a big staple in like, the flyover states and whatnot, and it's terrible. Horrible.
It's hard to do well. So I will say there are elite meatloafs out there, but I will agree it's hard to get it right. So, and I guess for me, I'm closing this thing out.
Yeah.
I don't know if this
What's
one
your big
is.
take?
I don't know if this one's super hot take, but I love unfrosted strawberry Pop Tarts. There's just sound. There was no sound coming from you guys. It was just like the sound cut out.
I don't know
what I expected.
I don't know what I expected. Okay,
They're
because now
speechless.
you've like unlocked a thing in my head, which is that my true answer to what is overrated is all Pop-Tarts that aren't cinnamon and brown sugar are overrated.
I only really like the ones that are unfrosted.
I've
See,
never
Robert,
even
I think it's the only.
seen
I agree with
unfrosted
this though,
Pop-Tarts.
because
Oh,
the
now
best
I know
part
I'm in the
of
wrong. Now I know I'm in
the
the
best
wrong.
part
if
of
he's
the
agreeing with
Pop-Tart
me.
is the inside. It's the opposite of an Oreo.
Okay.
So yeah, give me the
Give me
Yeah,
the insides of a Pop Tart. He says that's just jam.
well, it's good. Who's against jam?
I just don't like when the sugar, the frosting sugar, or the whatever the top is, gets like all burnt and melted. I just like it when it's like the plain one.
Oh,
You can see
that's
the
the best
crispy. The only
part.
ones I like frosted were like, I'm sure you guys will remember these, but like the ones that were like purple and blue. No one remembers.
I go back to if it's not cinnamon brown sugar, I'm just not eating it as far as Pop-Tarts go.
I'm gonna be really honest here. I've had Pop-Tarts like maybe twice in my life, and like Pop-Tarts never part of our a staple at home.
Oh, we have a toaster strudel boy.
No, I didn't have
toaster
toaster
but toaster strudels are better than Pop-Tarts.
She loves toaster strudels.
I love,
She
but I
thinks
love
it's weird.
cinnamon brown sugar Pop-Tarts too.
She thinks it's weird that I like the toaster strudel without the frosting.
Yeah, that's weird. But I'm guessing that Chris would
the frosting is too sweet. I don't like things that are.
I'm not a big strudel person, but like, sure, we can get on board with that. We can. We're like in the same neighborhood. We can just like be neighbors with it or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, we are defenders of faith. Says that we need to move on from Pop-Tarts, so we'll end it right there then. So Chris, thanks for coming. It's been fun. We ought to do this again, and I'm so pumped that we got to fulfill your bucket list to have you on. Well overdue, and this is a good time, and I hope everyone listening thought so too.
Yeah, it's a super fun time. This show is like feels like a little bit of me, a little crazy, a little silly, a little USC related. So it's all the things I enjoy to do on a podcast. So I hope I can come back, and I hope the distance between this one and the next time I'm on isn't as long as the first time I was invited on.
Yeah, we'll make that a thing, and then since we have our new little soundboard thing, maybe we'll do it in person so we don't have audio difficulty and have to start 10 minutes late. But who knows?
There we go.
We'll get things rolling. As always, you can follow us on Twitter at @RainofTroy, like us on Facebook, and be sure to review the pod over on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars there. You can join us with our YouTube membership over on YouTube. And if you're watching us in the chat, be sure to like the stream and make sure you're subscribed as well. We'll be back next Friday. What did I say? Friday? Next Monday, as always. Next Monday, the 26th of June, we'll be back with our next live show. We hope to see you there. And until then, Alicia, you got a final word?
The final word is Pop-Tart. I'm rattled.
That works. Pop-Tarts does it. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.